What's up, guys? Welcome to a new YouTube video. This is a off-the-cuff talk slash conversation slash rant about men's mental health. And the reason why I'm doing this is because it's Men's Mental Health Month. And I didn't even know that until I saw a few Instagram posts and TikToks about it. And, I've never really strongly identified with one of the months. Like, there's all these months to represent, popularizing or standing up for certain, causes. I've never really strongly identified with one, certainly not as much as this one. That's because I'm a man who's gone through mental health challenges, you could say. And I've just become more and more aware of how big of an issue it actually is. And after having gone through it myself, I have record levels of compassion and understanding and relatability for men that are suffering on the inside. And, some sobering statistics I was just reading with the help of ChatGPT are: number one, 4 times more men die from suicide than women. And it's obviously not a competition, but it just goes to show that men suppress a lot more and are on average less equipped to deal with the tough inner equation of life. And I think that some of the things that are useful to heal are more accepted within women. For example, some things that are useful to heal, some things that aid in the healing process are being expressive, crying, talking, venting. Even just these basic things, men do a hell of a lot less than women, and therefore we're suffering on the inside more commonly. Some other statistics: 40% of men have never spoken to anyone about their mental health. 1 in 3 men feel consciously anxious but don't seek help. Men are 2 to 3 more times likely to abuse drugs or alcohol or any other form of coping mechanism, including probably porn, as masturbation's up there as well. 90% of substance abuse cases in men are linked to attempts of self-medication and mental distress. There's a lot here. I kind of just asked ChatGPT what are the most sad statistics when it comes to men's mental health, and there's a lot. There's no shortage. A large part of my own journey, especially since I started going through my own challenges, and I've made videos about it. I've made videos about my own challenges along the way because I knew that men's mental health is, it's becoming more mainstream. More and more men are seeking help and getting, support. And the methods in which a person can heal and evolve are becoming more and more mainstream as well. But it's still in its infancy. It's still in its tip of the iceberg, and millions, hundreds of millions, billions of men around the world are still suffering. One other stat on here is I'll just find it real quick. The highest suicide rates are among middle-aged men, which is considered 45 to 54. 80% of suicides globally are men. But 45 to 54 aged men are the most common suicide rates. And what I think about when I hear that is, men, we accumulate trauma, we accumulate emotion, we accumulate pain, we accumulate suffering along the way. And men who do not have any tools to heal through it, to express it, to deal with it, they suppress it. They deal with it in the only way that they know how, which is usually a coping mechanism of some kind. And then all this pain, all this suffering just continues to accumulate on the inside. And by the time they're 45 to 54, they just don't want to deal with it anymore. The pain is too great. They don't see a way out. They view themselves and their situation as hopeless. They don't perceive that they have any agency to change. And they check out. And this is common. This is extremely common. I'm going to ask ChatGPT one more thing. Globally, 720,000 men die by suicide each year. 720,000 people die by suicide. 540,000 of them are men. I mean, suicide is terrible. It's incredibly sad. And obviously, if anyone kills himself, man or woman, or if anyone's suffering, man or woman, it sucks. It's terrible. I'm focusing on men because I guess I can relate to them the most. And like we've discussed, I think there's on average more men suffering than women, and that's what I want to talk about. This was a casual YouTube video off the cuff. I didn't really have a script, but going back into my own journey, when I started going through pretty significant amounts of internal suffering, I had a base level intuition of the fact that I needed to not suppress my emotions. I needed to not coping mechanism myself out of it. I knew that much. I knew I couldn't resort to porn, masturbation, weed, alcohol, Netflix, etc., etc. I knew I had to face it and stay in it. I didn't know a whole lot else besides that. When I first started going through it, this was, early to mid 2023. I didn't have a whole lot of tools equipped. And I didn't have much context as to what I was going through. In hindsight, and I've made videos about this on my channel, you can check it out. One's called My First Big Cry as an Adult. Another one is called Dark Night of the Soul. I think there might be one more as well. But I shared my stuff along the way just because, again, I wanted to make men's mental health more mainstream and talk about it. In hindsight, when I started going through stuff in 2023, it was a relationship that I was in that was the first big domino that triggered everything. In hindsight, it was a lot of inner child trauma and suppressed emotion that has been beneath the surface for years, and other suppressed emotion just through my life and suppressed pain. Growing up, I suppressed everything, and I didn't express. I was very monotone, not animated. Didn't really fluctuate too greatly on either side of the emotional spectrum, especially as I passed childhood. And just accumulated a lot of pain on the inside, never really expressed, never really did anything about it. And then I arrived at a version of myself a couple years ago that had all this inner stuff on the inside, and it just all cracked open, just all got exposed. This is my best interpretation of it, at least. And so what that led to, and when I say these things, it's very hard to put words to a complex and excruciating inner experience. And it's tough because all this, it's different sides of the brain. It's one side of your brain trying to articulate what's going on in the other and in your nervous system, and it's just quite difficult. And words often don't really justify what the experience is like. For example, I can say I was going through excruciating pain for 99% of my life for 2 years straight, and that's kind of the best job I can do to describe it in one sentence. But it was tough, and along the way, I really started to understand the definition of processing emotion. There would be nights when I, was many nights just up 2, 3 a.m., with a plethora of like painful emotion in my body, and nothing else. And the nighttime is quite difficult. The nighttime is tough because, if you're going through anything, in the night there's no distraction. It's just you face to face with whatever demons you have, and there's nowhere to hide. And it's quite the experience. And so in the nighttime, I started to really learn how to process emotion and feel it, because that's ultimately the first step, is to feel, to acknowledge your current experience, to not run away from it, to not try to block it, to not try to get rid of it per se, but to just feel it, to accept it in a sense, and just let it run its course. And over the 2-year period as well, I started to really educate myself on the inner workings of your nervous system, your emotional system, your relationship between thoughts and emotions and beliefs, the relationship between the meaning you associate to things and how you feel about it. Started to learn how trauma is stored in the body. Started to gain some levels of awareness around all this stuff, and this started to help. My brother, who is a men's coach, helps me as well. He, his work is all around this, and so he gave me a lot of good context to navigate the journey and help me out. And I also had people I could talk to along the way, which I was shy to take advantage of to start. But at a certain point, it became an absolute necessity. And I think this is where I can look back on my journey and become grateful, because I think this is where all these men who are struggling, that's where the path diverges. They didn't have the tools. They didn't have anyone in their corner that could support them or that they were willing to talk to, and they didn't reach out for any help. And it's tough to do all those things, so I'm grateful I really took advantage of it. I'm not, and have never been, suicidal, but there was points in my journey where I was going through certain amounts of pain, and I thought to myself, like, if I was suicidal, this would probably be enough to get me to do it. And there was many points where I wanted nothing else but to exit the experience of my body and what I was going through. I wanted nothing else but to just escape, to just somehow float up into the universe and just not have to feel what I was feeling and go through what I was going through. So I understand. I got to a point where I had some level of understanding around, these men who commit suicide. I understood, at least on some level, the mindset and thought pattern around just exiting your current experience because it's that painful. And yeah, I think one thing that is becoming clear to me is this is one of the highest leverage things I need to focus on in my journey is men's mental health. I've been charity focused and impact focused ever since I started business. In fact, it's my overarching mission to help solve all major world problems, including helping to solve the hunger issue in all countries, clean water, shelter, education, equal opportunity, technology, healthcare, world peace, etc. And men's mental health hasn't necessarily, and mental health in general hasn't necessarily been something that I've included in that category, but the more I think about it, and especially after going through it in my own journey, and by the way, I'm still not through it per se, still deal with a lot of stuff, even on a daily basis. But I've come a long way from where I was in 2023. Before that, I was just completely asleep at the wheel, which most people are. And by asleep at the wheel, I mean completely unaware of the trauma that's stored in my body, completely unaware of my dominating thought patterns, my dominating belief systems that are causing and perpetuating a lot of the suffering, completely unaware of how to evolve through it, evolve past it, completely unaware of how the environment is triggering certain things within me, completely unaware of how those triggers are causing certain reactions and certain behavior out of me, and how it's all this big abstract cycle that just goes and goes and goes. And this is ultimately the position that a lot of men find themselves in these days. And again, by 45 to 54, a lot of men choose to exit that cycle in the only way that they know how. As I was saying, I think that men's mental health and mental health in general is one of, if not the highest leverage area to focus on. Ultimately, in our own personal reality, everything comes from thoughts. Thoughts lead the trail down to everything else, if you really boil it down. They lead to emotion, they lead to behavior, and everything else stems from thought, emotion, behavior. And so thoughts, especially our dominating thoughts and our belief systems, which are ultimately just strongly reinforced thought patterns, that's the highest leverage place to start. And that's the highest leverage place to start within our own reality and changing our own reality. And so if we want to change the world, we have to change the thought patterns of a lot of people. And, you know, instead of taking someone's thought patterns from a 7 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10, what if we took a lot of people's thought patterns from a 1 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10? This is ultimately, I think, again, one of the 80-20 of the 80-20 to make the world a better place. How many things could be avoided if mental health was drastically improved? And how many conflicts, how much world peace could be avoided? How much love and joy and contribution could exist in the world if this area was improved drastically? So, and obviously, there's many people improving themselves, and there's many organizations and many people that are doing amazing work to improve this in the world. And there's already some pretty tremendous ripple effects. There's many books, there's many events, there's many seminars, there's many retreats, there's many programs, there's many initiatives that are currently being taken to improve this. And so it's not a dormant, category of life. There's movement, there's progress. It's becoming more mainstream. And, I saw, and, a lot of people are starting to stick up for it. In fact, I saw many of you guys may have saw this as well, but there was a girl on TikTok that made a video essentially making fun of men's mental health and not taking it seriously. And then the whole TikTok community came down on her and pretty much canceled her. And it's cool to see that, first of all, a person coming to justice for shitting on something that she shouldn't be. But also it's cool to see how, so many people are standing up for men's mental health. It's very cool. There's many people making videos about it and sharing their own journey as well. So I think there's a lot of good stuff happening. So it's a very tough, very abstract thing to improve, but it is improving. There's more and more people talking about it. There's more and more people helping other people about it. There's more and more people starting to improve their own situation and gain tools, gain support, gain outlets to express. And I'm, happy there's a month about it, because these months that represent certain things, whether it's a Pride month or a Black Lives Matter month or a mental health month or anything else, it's good that, certain things are being normalized, because ultimately racism shouldn't exist, homophobia shouldn't exist, and I don't think men's mental health issues and any mental health issues should exist. Now, this doesn't mean that life doesn't come with problems and challenges. That doesn't mean that life should be without pain. That would be silly to desire, because then life wouldn't be life. Life wouldn't be life if it were vanilla. We wouldn't appreciate the good days without bad days. Summer doesn't come without winter. The objective here isn't to make life all sunshine and rainbows. The objective here is to take the pain, take the trauma, take the hard times, feel it, acknowledge it, and move through it, and not hang on to it, not perpetuate it, not let it accumulate within our nervous system, to not let it just expand and expand and expand and cause inner torture for months and years and decades on end. That doesn't need to be the case. Extended suffering doesn't need to exist. And I think it boils down to more and more people, more and more men, just becoming aware of how it actually works. Learning about their pain, learning what's caused their pain, learning how their pain is stored, learning about what they can do about their pain. And one person at a time, one man at a time, we can start to drastically make the world a better place here. And yeah. I feel relatively complete around this video. Again, I didn't have a script. I didn't have much of an agenda, but I just wanted to talk about it. I have a final call to action for, at least a handful of men that watch this are going to be suffering just due to math, even with my super low viewer count right now. And so what I encourage you guys to do is take a step. You may not have clarity on what that step is or what exactly to do, but if anything else, if you don't know what to do, just reach out to someone. You can even reach out to me, or even share in the comments like what you're going through, and I'll support you. Other people will probably support you. You can reach out to me on Instagram. You can tell me about the situation you're going through, and I'll give you some guidance. Like I said, I don't have it all figured out. I'm still going through my own stuff, but I have came a long way, and I've gained a certain amount of wisdom along the way, and have a certain amount of wisdom in regards of what you can do about your suffering. So if you do want to reach out to me, you can. I'm happy to help out and have a conversation with you. You could also reach out to someone in your circle, someone that you trust, someone that you love, someone that loves you. Because ultimately, one of the things that really brought me through in that first year especially was having outlets I could talk to in the form of friends and my brother. And even my mom I was talking to more about it. But yeah, me and one of my friends, we were sending each other, because we were both going through our own stuff, and we were just sending each other long voice notes each day, telling each other about our experience and our challenges and our pain. And it was extremely expressive, extremely healing in a sense, and a really productive and healthy outlet. So if you're going through stuff, and you can message me, or if you just have someone, if you have a brother or a sister, if you have a friend, parents, someone you can talk to, say, hey, like, I'm really going through some tough shit right now. Do you mind if I just kind of tell you about it? And then just tell them about it. It'll feel good. It'll feel expressive. It'll feel great to just get it out of your body. So if nothing else, make that your first action step. Some other tools that have greatly helped me along the way have been meditation and journaling. Meditation, because, like I said, you have to process the emotion. You can't just continue to distract yourself with stimulus like food, walking, talking, driving, eating, working. There's always something that our five senses are stimulated with, and we need to just remove all that, focus in on our body, and just breathe. Just breathe. And you're going to feel a lot. This is why it's uncomfortable. This is why nobody likes meditation, especially when they start. It's because you're removing all stimulus, and then you're face to face with your demons. You're face to face with the pain. You're face to face with the trauma. And it's going to be in your heart. It might be in your sternum, your solar plexus area, your stomach, your throat. There can be many different places the pain is stored, depending on what the context of the stored pain is. But meditation, start with 60 seconds a day, start with 10 minutes per day. Just start to breathe, start to acknowledge what's there, start to gain awareness around it. What does it feel like? What shape is it? Does it move around? Is it sharp? Is it dull? What color is it? How long have you been feeling it? When does it get amplified? What triggers it to go from a 2 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10? You start to gain this awareness and you start to breathe. And when you breathe, when you let yourself just breathe for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, then your body's like, oh, we can let go, we can express it, we can let it release. And you might even find yourself crying at the end of a meditation or in the middle of a meditation. Or you might find that you need to yell or punch a pillow or do a number of things or let your body shake or something just to let it physically discharge the stored energy, the stored trauma. Or maybe not. And some people, if they start meditating, they might crack themselves open after 10 minutes on the first day. Some people, it might take 6 months before they shed their first tear or feel their first sense of expressive kind of emotion coming out in some way. But you got to get started. You got to begin the inner work. It's not easy, it's not fun, it's a lot of pain, but it's not as painful as continuing to suffer on the inside for the rest of your life. Tool number 2 is journaling. You can do many forms of this. I've done, you can pen and paper, you can write on your laptop in your notes. I also do video journaling where I'd set my phone up like this and I have a folder of almost 300 videos now throughout my time. And I might even post some of them someday, which would be a pretty vulnerable thing to do because it's just me talking and crying and sharing as I was eating shit in these dark nights in 2023 that I told you guys about. One thing I did is I documented it, and they're sitting there in a folder on my phone. And, I didn't do it for documentation purposes per se, but it was in the corner of my mind that I would publicly release those someday just to show people, what I've been through and that you can get through it, and to show people that I've been where you are now, and this is how you get out of it. This is how you can get out of it. So anyways, but that was 10% of why I did it. The other 90% is because I just need something to talk to, something to express. So if you want to just set your phone up right after this video and start talking, just talk to yourself like you're talking to a friend. It's surprisingly expressive. Outline your entire situation. Air it all out. Brain vomit. Let it all out. All your pain, all of the pain that you're feeling, even the stuff you've never even talked about before with anyone. Air it all out. You can just lock this video in a folder afterwards. You don't ever have to show it to anyone. Just do it for yourself. Do it for yourself. But ultimately, you can do any form of journaling. It doesn't have to be a specific format. You can just write down your pain. You can make plans. You can write letters to people if there's something you need to express, but don't want to talk to them directly about it. You can write letters to yourself. You can give yourself love. You can give yourself compassion. You can write letters to your inner child. And you can also start to educate yourself around all this stuff too. ChatGPT is an amazing tool that I kind of really wish I had in this time, and it existed in that time when I was going through shit. I didn't really acknowledge it or use it as the tool that it was, but that's an amazing tool where you can just open up ChatGPT and say like, hey, look, write it a fucking essay of what you're going through right now. And then say like, what do I do? What is this? What's the context of this? Right? You can just empty all your pain and then just get some help. It'll give you some context. It'll give you something. It'll give you some tools. It'll give you some acknowledgement. It might even just give you that little glimpse of understanding that you desire so much from someone else. So those are 2 big tools, meditation, journaling, and I guess ChatGPT can be its own category as well. So those are tools. There's also many books you can start to consume on it. You can even ask ChatGPT like, hey, this is what I'm going through. What books would you recommend? Start to educate yourself. It's very constructive, very productive to educate yourself on the things that you're currently going through. So action steps for you guys. You can start meditating, start journaling, start reading, start consuming, start educating yourself. Talk to someone, talk to a therapist, talk to a friend, talk to a loved one, talk to your siblings. And if you don't feel like you got anyone, talk to me. Or even if you do feel like you got someone, you can talk to me. I'd love to help you out. I allocate a disproportionate amount of my time to helping people just for free if they're struggling. And, I'm happy to help. So I suppose that's it. If this was useful for you in some way, let me know. It's very meaningful for me when you guys let me know if a video helps you, or if it resonated with you, or if it somehow helped you or is valuable for you in some way. Just let me know. You can comment down below. I'd appreciate that, because it helps the algorithm and it'll help this video reach more men. But if you want to just keep it private and DM me as well, that's cool. But just let me know either way. Yeah, I'll make more videos on men's mental health, but I just wanted to go on a bit of a rant today and just air out. You know, this is almost even expressive for me. I had something on my chest. I've been through my own stuff, and I just wanted to get it out. So again, hope this was useful and, you know, a good use of your time. Yeah, message me if you need anything, and see you in the next video. Peace.